Good evening, everyone. This is Layla.
And I'm Drew. You're checking out that Vocal Fry podcast.
Oh,
You can
yeah.
catch us pre-recorded every Saturday night right here on the Chalkbodyoutline YouTube channel. Pretty from the chat sent a message, said she enjoyed our last stream and asked us if we would talk about fake internet personas or personalities or whatever.
Okay. Yeah, Pretty always has great comments.
What do you got to say about fake internet personas?
Oh, it's very easy to be a fake internet persona. It's like that analogy that we gave last time, I think, about the car and you're behind the wheel of the car and you can just rage and act like a complete animal because it gives you that shield of invisibility. And I think the computer is, well, the screen, it's not just the computer, I guess, anymore, but I think the screen is way worse. Way worse than that. Yeah, it seems like that. And I think a lot of people, and I kind of everybody in a way, like, isn't themselves. Like, you can't be fully yourself online anyway, because you're just kind of funneling yourself into one, like, small channel. But I think when you get people that have serious psychological issues that get on the internet, now we're not talking about the paid shill type people. I'm talking about the people that, well, we can talk about that too, I guess, because that's part of it.
Just all these internet weirdos.
Yeah.
And it happens across like genres even, because there's the following, when you get into anything where there's like a community built into it, you see the same things. I see following these like t-shirt resellers and stuff. They have like little communities on Instagram and YouTube, and they say the same thing, like, oh, people are out here trying to make up lies to defame me. And there's the one guy, Vintage Whiner.
Shout out Vintage Whiner.
Vintage Whiner. This guy, it's called Vintage Miner, but he's always whining about some stuff. But it's almost the same thing you see in like with the truther community too, where like you said, yeah, you're hidden, you're the anonymity. I know I'm not saying that word right, but and then you have to project an image, and when you have deeply rooted psychological issues, there's like a malfunction in the stream from where you have to project and what you think you're projecting to what actually is coming out the other end.
Yeah, and I think it is the people that do have those unchecked psychological issues and damages that end up becoming that, because they're very unfulfilled in their own life. They're probably insufferable to a large extent in their own life, and probably don't have many friends because people don't like them that much. And I think the internet is a great outlet for them, and yeah, it does protect them in a way and gives them that smokescreen. But you can honestly be whoever you want on the internet. You don't know, these are not people you're gonna meet ever in life for the most part. Obviously you can, but it's like, I guess I see it as like they probably have a pretty shitty self-image and like probably lack self-esteem and any type of real power or control in their own life. So
yeah, that's what I think ultimately would come down to, is they're unable to control their own life, so then they have to try to exert their will on other people.
yeah.
And that goes with what Ben and I talked about last Sunday. And you can catch us every Sunday on D Live, 11 p.m. Eastern, 10 Central.
Shout out Benton.
And he showed his face last night. You see? I think the ladies were swarming. But it goes into what we talked about last week, was the First Amendment auditors and how they go out and just exercise their civil rights, and then these people come up and they get really twitchy and jumpy, it seems like, because they seem to be unable to handle that they can't exert their will on someone.
Yeah, you've been showing me those, and those are very, very interesting to me. You can I don't know if you've talked about this with anybody on your stream yet, but like what I observe is that they're physically like agitated and holding back and look very jittery and nervous, like they're trying to restrain themselves like from attacking, because if they weren't on camera and didn't think they would be caught, they would 100% attack.
Absolutely, they
You can
would.
see it in their behavior. I saw the one lady that was like tapping the clipboard nervously, and like the one dude that was just shaking his leg. Like
And
they,
that's probably the same type of people though that hide behind an internet persona and like harass and
oh,
stalk people. But when they
yeah, I
know
could see
there's
that.
the camera there recording objectively what's happening, they don't know how to act because they want to lash out like the internet demon they are, but they know they can't because they know there will be a repercussion.
Yeah, well, the internet is a great fantasy world. I feel like that type of person can immerse themselves in, and now you got all the Snapchat filters. You don't even have to really look how you really look, you know? Uh,
Yeah, it is the metaverse. What they build you as the metaverse. You can, they say you'll go in and have a dragon avatar and be living in the metaverse all day. That's what it
yeah.
is already.
Well, that's why they live online as it is, because that's where they get all their. Well, you got to think about it. If they're a psychologically damaged person, their chemicals are not firing properly. So they get all of that from the screen. It gives you those dopamine hits, those boosts, from the reactions you get. And it's just constantly keeping you pulled in. And I don't know, they probably are addicted to it in a sense, because it's the only real sense of self-esteem or power that they can exert in their own life. And then they got, if they're like ugly or whatever, think they're ugly, they can put on a filter and you don't even have to look, how you look. And then if somebody meets you in real life, it's like, oh, you're probably not anything like you are online. And you probably like it that way.
And they seem to fixate on one person. Like I said, even in the t-shirts, you saw that guy basically saying the same thing. And
Yeah.
I've had it happen to me, and we've seen other like truth or content creators. It happens to them. There gets one person that just gets like extremely fixated on one other person, and then they go completely overboard. It's like an
It's like a
obsession.
vendetta they take on. Like they think they have this job to pursue whoever it is they disagree with. Like it's your mission to expose this person or whatever.
Yeah, and that's what that vintage whiner dude says too. He's like, "This is I'm the karma." He said, "I'm gonna expose some of these people, and I'm the karma," or something. He literally says that,
I'm the karma.
and
Yeah.
he's gonna like dish out the karma. Basically, what he was mad about, without getting too into it, he's just mad that some people were selling shirts for like super large, like way above what they're actually worth, and they're going on some like mainstream. I can't. Which site was it? I don't remember. Like
Urban Outfitters.
yeah, Urban Outfitters has like a vintage section, and you can become a vendor, and then they're selling like $40 shirts for like $1,000. Doesn't mean they're selling it though. It just means it's listed as that much. And this guy took it upon himself to say, "I'm the karma. I'm gonna expose them." And everything just comes across as so dumb and petty. And
I'm gonna guess Urban Outfitters burnt him in the past and didn't want him to be a vendor.
yeah, that's what it seems to be based on too. Is the obsession starts when they feel like scorned. It's like the woman scorn demon.
Yeah, except I see a lot of men do it.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I see women do it too.
Yeah, it's not just a woman, but that same demon.
Yeah. But yeah, I think you don't know who anybody is online. It has given you that veil of mystery, and then it's like you're living one life in this fantasy outlet. You're the double-minded man who is unstable in his ways. You're probably a complete wreck in your personal life. How do you get out of that? I think a lot of them don't want to get out of that because I think it's set up. Obviously, life right now is set up to like be incredibly agitating. Like I know you've talked about that with people here, that like these corporations and stuff, when you try to do anything or they want you to just shut down and go away.
Yeah.
I think that's something you and Benton have talked about. But that's just an example of like how it's just set up against you most times to just frustrate you. And I think a lot of people get discouraged and don't even want to try to pursue like careers or relationships or jobs or hobbies or whatever it is. Why would you have to do any of that? Because that stuff's actually work, hard work, if you're really trying to work on yourself, when you can just put it into this fantasy outlet that's going to give you whatever kind of attention or, filling whatever void you feel like you have.
And ultimately, you don't get anything out of it either. You get likes, you get subscribers. These are all intangible things.
You get some attention,
I guess you get the dopamine that it's programmed to give you, but Unless you're like a YouTuber getting money, I would say that's tangible. But other than that, like, I don't think you're really getting anything out of it other than just to
No.
like wallow in your sickness.
People love to do that. I think a lot of people, when they're faced with that opportunity to get help, get unsick, would choose to stay sick because it's easier. It's so much easier. And I think for these like fake personas, it's so much easier to do that than to unplug and shut down and pursue a life with relationships and whatever you want to enrich yourself with, you know, hobbies, art, music, whatever it is for you personally. I feel like a lot of these people are the non-creative types too. Like they can't, they feel like they can't. They probably could if they tried, but they feel like they can't create. And I feel like that's such a strong part of like the human spirit to be creative in whatever outlet that is, that if you don't have that or don't take advantage of that, people do kind of go crazy. And you will seek it in some destructive outlet. You're either going to be creating or you're going to be destroying, whether it's other people or yourself.
Yeah, ultimately it would be yourself, even if you're destroying another person temporarily.
Yes. Yeah, yeah, shooting yourself in the foot for what?
Yeah, now if they took all the time they spent like going after other people and put that in, like you said, they might think they're not capable of creating whatever they want. But if they spent the same amount of time doing that, I think they would find out that they could.
Yeah. Well, what do you think about the type of internet persona that has to, like, I'm not talking about anybody specific, but just like, let's say a YouTuber that has a persona, they talk about a subject daily, but it's not even who they are in their real life. Like, they're not practicing that. They might not even have the same name. They don't live in the same area that they say they do. Like, what do you think? Obviously, we kind of know, but like, how do you get to that point? You know? Or these people in the comments too, like sometimes you'll see people like just say some crazy stuff about somebody that,
Or I'll get to what I think about it in a second, but the other thing I see is in the comments, whenever there's like a tragic event or something, they'll be like, oh, my aunt was there or something. They gotta say how they were personally affected about it. And then in the one, there was like some Twin Towers video or something, I put like a comment in there just to be a troll. I said, yeah, you know, I was supposed to board this plane and I lost my luggage, or I don't remember exactly what I said, but
you
I said
you lost your cat and your dog.
Oh yeah, I said the cat and dog died or something, so I was too hurt to get on the plane, and then that plane ended up flying into the building or whatever. And just the amount of like comments and people that first of all automatically believed it were just like, oh, you know, I'm so sorry for you and everything like that. Ridiculous.
Yeah, that's the type of person that has to make a tragic event about themselves somehow.
Yeah, but
like,
even just the people that just believed it, there was tons of other people though that did make it about themselves. Like, oh, my aunt was actually on there. They had to like one up it and everything like that. Like, I don't know what I think about those people. It's the one upper syndrome, for sure. Mm-hmm. Insert Mario sound effect here.
Do 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 do.
Yeah, but as far as the internet or the like say YouTube creators that do that, well, obviously they're incentivized by money.
See, some are, but what about, I know there's ones that are not monetized or are at least making very little. You know, I think it could be a multitude of reasons. I think one of it is the false virtue. Like, you can say whatever you want and you don't have to live by those words, but you're going to look good. It's like the person that's constantly quoting the Bible, quoting scriptures, talking about Jesus, but then in their life and like what they're doing doesn't reflect that at all.
Beating their wife.
Yeah. You know, I don't know, like, for those kind of people.
I think it just, it's like a mask there. A role that they play. They probably, maybe not even consciously, but I think subconsciously they probably get off on like pulling the wool over people's eyes.
Yeah.
Maybe they're not even actively thinking like, hey, let me, you know, fool these people or whatever.
Yeah.
but I think there's something to that. Let's get into how it's all programming too and the psychological warfare, because
Oh yeah, I think
as the internet kind of has, we watched it evolve, you know, and then they brought out like Eminem, and then it was like they were programming people to want to act like that and everything like that. What do you think about the, not exclusively the internet, but just the psychological warfare that humanity's been under?
Well, yeah, I do. You can definitely can tie that into the fake personas. Whether you can even have a fake persona in real life too. It doesn't just have to be on the internet. But I think that's absolutely one of the many effects of psychological warfare. And I think even the auditor videos that you've been showing me and seeing how these people just can't handle the stress of something they can't control is a great example of just the effects that psychological warfare has had. Because if you think about it, and now they want you focusing on the Ukraine and the Russia, you know, it's always some diversion. Not saying that like bad things aren't happening, because obviously, like, I know they are. So I'm not trying to discredit that, but you know, the real war the entire time throughout any history book you read is in the mind. You know, even if there was physical atrocities, it's meant to hit your mind. It's meant to affect you psychologically. And all the programming for years and years, and, you know, you can trace that back however long you want to trace that back. I always say, like, the parts I look at is, like, after the Civil War, you can definitely see some major breakdowns. And then in the 50s, there's some major breakdowns, you know, and there's points in history that there are. You can see that, but...
What do you mean breakdowns?
Just like the programming, like you can look at the 50s and see
like
exactly
with the introduction of the television. I mean, It was before that, but that's when it was becoming more and more mainstream.
Yeah, like the television, and then like when the feminism started, and like the women voting, you know, there were major shifts that happened in those things.
Over like a long period of time, but it's not that long. Like think of from the 50s when the TV's, you know, first getting into everyone's home, it's Leave It to Beaver and wholesome shows. And then 20 years later, by the 70s, you have, you know, hippies, Woodstock, and free love and all this different things. But that all comes from the slow creep on the television. And then extrapolate that now to the same thing of when the internet slowly became in everyone's home around the year 2000. And now here we are 20 years later. Yeah. And the internet was never wholesome to begin with, like the television was, because there wasn't that... there wasn't like the, you know, Christian household and the strong nuclear family to say, hey, I'm not going to play this television show unless it's Leave It to Beaver, a family value show with a moral at the end. Yeah. That no longer existed by the year 2000. So when the internet came in, it was already Wild West and everything. And then think of how different the world is now, 2022 versus 2000, that 20-year span of how much the world has changed.
Oh man, yeah, absolutely. And you can see the evolution of, it was obviously meant, every decade of programming was meant to lead to the next decade, the next decade, the next decade, into where we are right now. I think that's why a lot of the boomers, because I know you always talk about that, like you kind of see that some of those people are very stuck and very just psychologically breaking down right now, probably because they have decades of programming built up in them, you know? And you do see a lot of the younger people too, because they made all these social issues, you know, cool and stuff to get behind. And people go to rallies and have no idea why they're at a rally. It's just something they saw on social media with a hashtag, you know. But I think a lot of like the mental issues, the suicide, the alcoholism, you know, the fake personas, the feeling like you need to seek, you know, these dopamine hits or just self-esteem boosts and power, you know, the exertion of will in different outlets other than your own personal life, then, you know, I think it's the people that just can't handle the stress, because it seems to be like there's people who can handle it. Like, it sucks and you do have to work really hard to keep yourself right and like on a good path, but there's some people that just break down completely, and that's psychological warfare. And it's not meant to kill you, I don't think. It's meant to keep you stuck in this cycle.
Yeah, like a trauma loop.
Absolutely.
And then you teach it to your kids.
Yeah, you pass on all that generational trauma and all those psychological wounds and stuff. You do pass that on generationally. Absolutely. You can look at families and see just the same, you know, the same stuff regurgitated. And that's because, somewhere along the line, you have to have that one person that's going to be the one to break those things and to get rid of it. That's hard.
And I like what you said, the fake persona is not limited to the internet. It's probably just easier to keep the mask on because there's no like off time. But even if you've worked a job or whatever, these people that are your boss, they could be, all kinds of like doing monstrous things or whatever behind closed doors, or just a total, even not even necessarily bad. They could just present themselves as a like a totally professional worker. And like the one time, and then I went to the tattoo convention, and then I saw my supervisor swinging on the chains. He was doing that suspension, like even that's kind of a fake persona. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he's full of tattoos and swinging on with hooks in his back.
Yeah.
But at work, he's able to act like a totally professional guy. And so it's not necessarily bad, but they're just able to present that front.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and thinking about that, because I don't think, for some people, you're not always presenting a fake persona. Sometimes I think people are so multifaceted anyway, But that's kind of extreme, though, the suspension hanging from the thing, and then...
Yeah, trust, that's nuts.
That's wild to walk in and see your supervisor doing that.
I don't think it's, like, that crazy. It's just weird. It is weird and different.
Yes.
It's, you know what I'm saying? And
Yes.
it doesn't mean you're necessarily, like, a child molester or something like that.
Oh, no, not at all. And obviously people get to that level of just bad, evil, rotten stuff, but... Yeah, I think we've all done it to an extent, I think, too, though. I think that's a human error that everybody is susceptible to. Like, you're not you specifically, but just people in general. Like, you can't give all of yourself and who you are as a person to, like, one single outlet. You're many things. You're many things at once.
And there could even be, like a reverse persona too, where a person acts like a hard ass and everything, and then behind closed doors they're just a big softie with little puppy dogs, or they spend all their time, donating their time and money to homeless people or somewhere. You would never even know that.
Yeah.
So for some reason though, there is this like character you're supposed to portray in public, especially at work, and then even across the internet, because what you're trying to draw in more and more viewers, so you know what notes you have to hit to kind of appeal to those people.
Oh yeah,
but there's like that like Overton window or whatever that you got to box yourself into the public thing. So that's also psychological warfare, the programming to like not deviate out of this little window of behavior patterns while you're at work.
Yeah, definitely. But I think that's part of, especially with the corporate jobs too, I think that's just part of the control. Like they have all the bizarre rules and regulations that make no sense just to kind of have people, running in a hamster wheel all day for no reason.
And I told the story of how we were looking for ones the whole day yesterday.
You told that story?
Yeah,
oh, what a nightmare.
It's unbelievable. You got to go all over town looking for ones because they don't, not only do they say they can't help you because of the policy, they don't want to help you.
Yeah.
And it's designed to, even if the cashier wanted to help you, they can't. Even if you got a manager that wanted to help you, they couldn't. Even if you called the corporate number and someone wanted to help you, they can't, because it's just such a big machine. Like, and everyone's just, a replaceable cog.
Yeah, it's a very tangled web. And I feel like some people see that and have to work very hard to untangle that, and some people just buckle under the pressure.
But it seemed like not that long ago they did want to help you.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could put a time on it, but it did seem like you'd be able to go somewhere and get some kind of, eventually you could go up the chain of command and somebody would help you.
Yeah, see, but at this point, I think it's laziness because the last 2 years, I don't know. Can you say COVID? Are you allowed to say that? I don't even know.
Okay, yeah, that's
I don't
over
even
now.
know.
Now
Oh,
it's World
over
War
now.
Three.
Oh,
Yeah,
I forgot.
it's done.
Well, yeah, because COVID, I think, gave people just an excellent excuse to be lazy and just, blame everything on COVID. Oh, you can't get ones at the bank. Why? Because COVID. That's literally what the woman told me when I went to the bank. Like, what is that? What? The bank doesn't deal with money anymore because of COVID? What does that have to do with anything?
Yeah.
That doesn't even make sense.
But they can be open. They can hand you a sheet of paper. They can.
Oh, the checkbooks, the pens
Yeah.
they can hand me. They
Yeah,
can take my card.
They can
I
take
can take
your
my
check.
card back
Yeah,
from
they
them.
can do any of that, but they can't
Oh.
touch cash.
Yeah.
Because why? Because COVID.
That's what she told me. I think it gave people just an excellent excuse to just not do anything because everyone's tired at this point, and that is because of the psychological warfare. It is draining whether you know you're immersed in it or not. It's draining every day.
It's also like the equivalent to in science, like they just say gravity. Why does this happen with gravity? Why does the atmosphere turn with the Earth, the globe? Well, gravity. Why does this? Every answer is gravity, and you just okay. Your brain just kind of shuts off, and it's learned. That's just like a magic word to turn your brain off and just accept it.
Yeah.
And not ask any more questions. COVID's the same thing. It's just like the corporate gravity, basically. Why? COVID,
exactly. Yeah, and I think it's a lot of the fear too that gets programmed into people. Like right now, I think it's, whether you believe it's really the end times or it's like this big scripted end times that's not really, but just to kind of push you into that, you just can't live in the fear of any of this stuff. Because that's the psychological mind game that's being played, because people like to, I don't know. When you talk with other people, or I know when you've talked with me too, they say, oh, this is so doomer. Well, it's not actually, this is real stuff happening, but that doesn't mean you have to live in fear of it. It's designed to keep you in fear. So you combat it by doing the opposite. You have to act fearless of it, and that doesn't mean that you're not going to have reservations or it's not going to be difficult or you're not going to be scared at times. You have to just do stuff anyway, even though it's very difficult. The answer is typically very simple. It's not always easy.
So what did we come up with here? The internet persona is not limited to the internet. People have a persona that they put on even in their real life, day to day.
Yeah, and it's a coping mechanism, I think, more than anything. It's the psychological damage. And psychologically damaged people gravitate towards that because they feel like they have no personal power.
And what about the people that are in the comments trying to one-up you? What's that about, you think?
Yeah, I believe it's the same thing. They just need a sense of, how to say it, like, I'm better than you. I've done this better than you, or I've been there.
Or they have to make it about them. You're not even
yes.
talking about, it's like a worldwide tragic event, but they have to
make it about themselves.
Relate it to them. That's a narcissist.
Oh, yeah, that's
trait.
A narcissist trait. Absolutely.
And the culture has been groomed to be narcissists, especially with social media.
Oh, yeah, that's a big
exponentially
one.
Grown as social media has grown.
Yeah, I've been gagging at all the Ukraine memes.
What about the empaths?
that type of stuff. Not so much the memes, but like the, pray for the Ukraine and pray for Russia. And all
they didn't care. They didn't care 2 days ago.
Yeah, the computer told you to care. Come on, use your brain. And what did you just ask me? I missed that.
I don't remember. I was just saying, like, what we were saying, like, what was the cause behind the people that are the commenters that make it about them?
Oh, just empty, broken people, I think. They just need the internet to make them feel superior and good about themselves because they don't have that in their own life for whatever reason.
And I think it's about, I don't know how many generations of this has been happening, but the inability for people to just listen. Just listen and hold space for people, but they always instead just wait to talk, and then when they talk, they have to talk about themselves. Yeah,
that's like the because obviously you've been programmed to, I hear this all the time, like, your opinion matters, your opinion matters. No, sometimes it really doesn't. Sometimes you need to shut your mouth, and that's the most important thing you can do for a lot of things. Especially if you're listening to somebody tell you something like really tragic, like that's not about you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've seen a lot of that. How can I make World War III about me?
Right.
What can you do? What can you do for these countries across the world? You can't do anything. You can have power in your own personal life and take care of that, fix your mess.
And they change their like Facebook profile picture to like a Ukrainian flag or something.
Oh,
the overlay.
Oh my god.
And then they feel accomplished. I did my civic duty for the day. I clicked a couple buttons, and now that I single-handedly stopped the war.
I think that's genuinely sometimes how people feel. Like,
Yeah,
I
that's what
shared
I'm
a
saying.
meme, so I saved a kid's life.
I think, yeah, they
I
might
stopped
not
the
be able
war.
to say that to you, but I think inside it probably feeds those impulses in you to actually do something and actually help something. It probably feeds that just a little snack, so you do feel like you did kind of actually do something, but you obviously you didn't, but it's designed to give you the illusion that you you lifted one finger to help someone.
It fills that void of you feeling like you need to be a good person without you actually having to be one. You don't have to do anything in your real life. You don't have to help people. You can just push a button. Beep.
And I think Pretty's thing said too, like something about a lady that's always on Twitter saying good things or posting like, I don't know if it was spiritual, but like good high vibration type things, and then her life's basically falling apart or something like that.
Yeah, well, it does give people that outlet of like the positive things, and they read something nice online. They're like, oh yeah, this is me, but it's really not. I was on Facebook a long time ago for a couple months, and I had to delete it for that type of thing. Like because I would see these people that like would be posting about like how challenging but rewarding parenthood is, and they love their kids and they love being a parent. But it's like people I know in real life that I know have abandoned their kids and don't even see their kids. And it was like a lot of stuff like that. And I had to back out of that real quick. I couldn't handle that. Yeah, so just to tie that off, you can be whoever you want behind that closed door when you think no one's looking at you, and you can put whatever image you want on the inside. You can be falling apart. You can be a rotten, evil person, or just a sad, small, weak, emotionally crippled person, or just a dumb, like sometimes just acting stupid. Some people just go online to act stupid because they feel like acting stupid.
I would say basically the persona is right now already what they programmed you. The avatar will be in the metaverse. You will have this. Your avatar will be Chuck E. Cheese, and you'll be on a different planet playing Halo with all your friends who are dressed as whatever else.
The avatar replaces
or whatever.
the soul.
Yeah, the avatar. So then
It stands in for your morality, your virtue.
Persona I see as that in the soft metaverse. Anything else you want to get into? Psychological warfare.
Nah, I mean.
So the persona is the result of the generations of psychological warfare.
Yeah, I guess. How do you protect yourself from that, though? Because obviously, we. I don't know how to say it. Like you let the enemy in through your ears, through your eyes, by what you consume all day. And we sit here and talk a lot about the screen, I know, but me and you always talk a lot about the screen because we know a lot of this evil comes directly from it, and that's why it was made. But then, you have this relationship with it in the sense of you do have, like, friends on there that you talk to, and you wouldn't have never met, outside of that.
It's to the point, too, where you have to, I guess you don't have to, but you almost have to, like, bank on there, pay your bills on there and everything. Like, so there's no way to just walk away from it at this point. I mean, I guess you technically you could, but for anyone that just says, well, just get rid of the internet and walk away, that's pretty unrealistic for most people. I think that would be the ultimate final solution, but you would need people to do it in mass numbers, and you're nowhere near that.
Yeah, and it's that, definitely, 'cause they make you so dependent on it. But I think some relationships are dependent on it too, like friendships and stuff, because people say like, oh, my family members and my friends are all on this social media app, so I have to have it. And then it's like you eventually delete the app, and it's like you never hear from those people again. Even though they have your phone number and they could like text you or email you or call you, you do not hear from them outside of the app.
Yeah.
It's like they only value the relationship you give them on that app. Outside of that,
Well,
they're not going to pursue any type of communication, you know?
it's the same thing with YouTube. If you go outside of YouTube, BitChute, Odyssey, even DLive, it's very hard to get people to follow you there. So there's got to be something behind that the platform itself and the value that people give to the number of, followers, subscribers, likes, and all that kind of thing. There's something to that then, because it's not about you per se or your information or anything like that. It's about how you perform on that arena of that platform.
Yeah, that to me, social media is very sad for that reason, because it has created that very false, synthetic version of like connections. Not that you can't build real strong ones because of that, but it just seems like for the most part, in general.
And it's just ultimately sloth and laziness because think of how easy it is to go to DLive and follow Benton and I every Sunday night at 11 p.m. Eastern, 10 Central. It's literally a click of a button. You go down on the thing, click the link, which is in the description of the video, and there's a DLive link. You click it, you go over there, you follow it. I mean, not that I think there should be 5,000 followers over there, but anywhere you go, BitChute or any other platform, it's just less and less and less, because people don't want to leave the app.
Yeah, that's the thing,
They're trapped in the app.
The connection.
Don't get trapped in the app.
That was good. Yeah, it's just all the love and the connection and the it's just all trapped in the app. And then when you don't have the app, it's just like gone with the wind. It's just as fake as anything. It's just I don't know what I'm trying to say. You get me.
I think we got through a good amount of stuff, and I would like to try to keep these shorter so they're not going turning into rambling tirades like EBT did last night. Shout out to EBT. It's nice if you have a whole different format here, pre-recorded, and keep it, because I generally do an hour. It'd be nice to keep this shorter.
Yeah.
Just to distinguish it or whatever. But yeah, okay. Personas, man. I'd like to hear your guys' comments about them.
Absolutely.
Not so much necessarily who is a persona. You're welcome to leave that comment as well, but more, what do you think are the underlying psychological causes of people portraying these personas? A lot of peepees in there. Anything else?
No, just thank you. And thank you in advance to everybody in the chat, because I know it's pre-recorded. I may or may not be in the chat, so if I'm not, thank you for listening.
Well, thanks for doing this, and we'll see you guys next Saturday night.
Yo.
Peace out.